Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Dark Art Society podcast. I'm your host, Chet, and today we have Chris Haas coming on the show, or he already got interviewed on the show. It was a great interview, super talented, creative, and cool guy. He's been on the show before, but not on the video podcast. Very talented sculptor, musician. He does it all. He shows some really cool masks he's been making recently, and he's got a show coming up at Arch Enemy Arts on this Friday, which is a few days from now if you're hearing on Wednesday. And yeah, it's a great interview, great catching up with him. What's going on with me? Just the usual, nothing new. I've been doing these ballpoint pen drawings, bringing some more money. You can see here. I'm working on those. I'm just trying to bring money in still. That's pretty much it, and juggling everything as usual. So nothing much to say on that front. If you want to support the podcast, go to patreon.com/darkartsociety and join for as little as $1, and you get the podcast a day early. You get entry into the private Facebook group and other benefits. And you support the show, keep it free for everyone. And if you want to support my Patreon, it's patreon.com/ChetZar, and I'm posting all my work on there, everything I'm working on. Also, these drawings, I did 26 or something, and I post them on Patreon for the patrons first, for people that are willing to pay as little as $1 a month. They get the first shot at getting them, and the first 20 sold through Patreon, I think. And so it's a good deal. Okay. We are sponsored by Skull Shop, SKULLSHOPPEE. PPE. SKULLSHOPPE. And here's one of their skulls. Amazing replica skulls. Super affordable. I use them for all my reference for my paintings. And if you join at the $5 or above level on patreon.com/darkartsociety, you get a code for 20% off of Skull Shop. So thank you, Skull Shop. I think that's it. Okay. I'm trying to keep these shorter now, so I can't think of anything else to talk about. Yeah, if you join the Dark Art Society Patreon, you get your name read in there too. And this week we have one new subscriber, and that is here we go. I'm going to tell you right now. Jeremy De La Rosa. Thank you, Jeremy De La Rosa. Anyway, I guess that's it. On with the show. It's a good one. We'll get into lots of cool stuff, and dog appearances happen. All right. Hope you enjoy it. Hello, Chris.
What's up?
Welcome back to the show.
Thanks. Good to be back.
We weren't video before, right?
No.
Okay,
no.
So this is a new development. How do you like it?
It's uptown.
I mean, we did video before. I just never recorded video.
Right. Yeah. And I was really hoping to be in my studio for the interview because of the video.
Oh, but right.
The internet's choppy out there. It's a separate building from my house, and so I'm in a room in my house that actually is my old studio. So there's still some studio vibe.
It's all good as long as it's you. That's what counts.
Totally, no robots.
And also, choppy internet is not good for an interview.
Yeah, didn't want to risk it.
So how have you been? How long? It's been what? Years, right? Since we talked on the podcast.
It was way back because I was thinking back to how I was where I was sitting in my studio when we did the last interview, and it was where I had like a totally different arrangement with a couch and stuff. And so I was like, yeah, that was definitely deep. Like
pre-pandemic for sure, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Wow.
So
Well,
2 years.
how have you been?
Great, man. Just you know, getting old and still doing my best to do what I love, and raising my kids and hanging with my dog and enjoying life in Colorado.
Yeah. Are you loving it out there?
I do. I've been here 32 years,
Wow.
and it's still just like I went for a drive in the mountains today with my brother, and I've got some relatives in town, and looking at all the fall colors popping up in the mountains right now, and I'm like, seems like yesterday that I moved here from Kansas originally. So when I
Wow.
moved, this was like Lord of the Rings shit here compared to Kansas. So still 32 years later, man, I still wake up every morning like, is this really real that I get to live here? So yeah, I
That's
love it.
awesome.
Yeah.
I still have one of your brother's old refrigerators.
That was sweet.
Do
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah, that was crazy how that worked.
That
That
was
small.
so weird. For people who don't know the story, I needed the specific type of old, and I never made the art piece. It's still sitting in my yard, and it's like I still have it though. I can't get rid of it because it's so beautiful and the rust is so perfect and everything. But I wanted to make for one of the conjoined shows. I wanted to make a sculpture, and I had this vision for an old fashioned like 50s or 60s. I think it's 50s refrigerator, and I'm like, oh, where am I going to find this? I was like looking around on the internet, and then I forget if it was on eBay or Craigslist. It was Craigslist, I think. And I was like, oh, someone has the exact one I want. Uh, and and it turned out to be your brother,
Yeah.
Blue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, and he was moving, he was leaving his loft in downtown, and it was like, what are the chances? That was
So
so weird.
yeah, that's the universe working.
Cosmic. Yeah, totally cosmic. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, so I still have that thing.
I love the idea for the piece. I think that you should still totally
I
do it.
know I want to. It's just so big and cumbersome, and
It
but
would be a
man,
cool like installation for like, like Meow Wolf or something like that, where it
yeah,
had a big place to hang.
yeah,
Be
yeah. I wanted to make a big head peeking out of it, like a two, two or 2.5 foot head and spider legs, kind of like it's peering out, and then flashing light, like the lights going out. Oh, it would have been so cool.
okay.
I still can do it. It just
Have you ever done any pieces sculpture wise that big?
no. I did a head. That heartbroken head was about that was about the size I wanted to do it. And that was pretty big. That was like a big ass head. So I have done that. It's more like putting it together, and you know what I mean, putting the whole thing together. And I don't know if you have to weld things, and I don't know about welding or anything.
Yeah, you need a team.
Yeah, I know.
Specialists.
I need a crew. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sculpt this. You mold it, cast it, then I'll paint it, and then you guys put it together.
Everybody deserves a crew.
I
I
know,
agree.
right? Every artist deserves a crew.
Yeah, I want a crew just to like help me like paint my house and
Oh yeah.
you know.
I still haven't painted my house is like it's so bad. It's so bad. I have to get my house painted. And I
It's like
just don't
for the haunted house look.
it's only the haunted house look. And it's an old house too, so it's probably like lead paint underneath there, chipping off. It's bad, but I don't
So
have time to do it myself, and I don't have the money to hire someone. So I'm just kind of like waiting for something to change. But I got to get a roof too.
I'm in both of those boats. I just went out to my studio just now because it was raining super hard. And my studio is an old building. My house is old too. And I knew there was one leak up there, and I have a little bucket under it in the attic. But I went and opened the trap door, and like there's all kinds of water like splashing me on the head. So
No.
extra buckets, and yeah, it's old. It's old, crazy tin roof, and you can see daylight coming through it. But it's like the old farmer. He says, they ask him why he hasn't fixed that leaky roof, and he says, well, when it's raining, it's too wet to get up there, and when
Right.
it's not leaking. That's
I had a bad leak in this little back house, tiny little room we have in the back, connected to this garage, and I was able to fix that leak. So that's good, but it still leaks from the bottom. It's just like it never ends, you know.
Yeah.
They never tell you. They tell you how great it is to own your own home, and then they never tell you how expensive it is and all the stuff you got to do to fix it. And it's
Especially when you got old. My house is 123 years old.
wow.
Yeah.
What year is it?
1900.
Oh wow, that's
Hmm.
crazy, man. Mine's 1923, I think. So it's
That's
pretty
old.
old.
That's old. Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah. We got old houses, and I love old houses. I think
yeah, they're so
I'm
cool.
that's I like old cars, old clothes, old houses.
Hmm.
They're energetically charged and have, you know, such a worn in, comforting feel to them. And
Yeah,
um,
especially if like maybe the previous owners were cool or the people were good. You feel. I mean, like this house has such a really good vibe to it. And I
yeah,
think I know the people before us were cool because we kind of knew them. We met them and sort of became friends. And then the people before them were supposed to be really nice nice old couple. So
generation of coolness.
yeah.
Yeah, and same here with this house. We actually had before I lived here, we got the house from my wife's parents, and at one point they had a family come through that were the relatives of the dude who homesteaded and built this house,
Wow.
and he's um, the great grandpa or great grandpa of um, what's her name? I can't think of her name right off the top of my head, but she's a famous singer and super cool singer.
Oh wow.
And well, this house definitely my property. I feel like it's got an artistic and creative energy. My studio before it was mine was my mother-in-law's, and she's passed away, but she was a very well-known and accomplished native artist from Alaska.
Oh wow.
Studio here in Colorado
That's so cool.
is my studio now. Yeah, so yeah,
You know,
good
it's,
stuff.
that reminds me of I went out to my sister's the other day, and she still has stuff from when my dad died. My mom died like a year before. He died like the classic. He died a year after, almost directly. And so there was like some artwork there of his and stuff she gave me, and she gave me this. It's like this little his paint table where he put his palette and stuff next to him, and
Mhm.
it's just like this crappy 2x4s and plywood table, but it's super sturdy. And it's got paint splashed all over it, like from years of him painting. And so,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I gotta take this. And I brought it to my studio. I'm like, what? Where the hell am I gonna put this thing? Because I have no room in here. It's just jam packed. And I set it next to me, just like out of the way. And then I was like, oh, this would make a really great altar. Because I've never set up an altar. And I've been wanting an altar for a couple of years now. And I haven't found, like, there's no place to put it. I had something like a little stand that I couldn't find that I thought would be perfect. And so I just kept kind of putting it off. And it's just like perfect. It's this perfect
oh,
altar that like totally just fell into my lap, and it's got his good vibes in it and his paint all over it. It's so
that's
cool.
awesome.
So
Oh
it's
yeah,
if you're patient, your altar will come.
yeah. No, that's a rad story. Yeah, for to have that, to have his little art table as your altar table that's pretty golden.
Yeah, yeah, and he was super spiritual and all that. So it's really really amazing. If you hear a dog barking, it's my dog, and because there's the trash, he barks at the trash truck, and there's trash pickup right now. He barks at airplanes, helicopters, and trash trucks.
Well, at least you'd say from any of those things sneaking up on you.
True. Any of those really loud things sneaking up on me. So, what have you been? How's your art going? I haven't seen. I mean, I've been off most social media. I haven't not been on that much, so I'm not seeing what people are up to. Um,
Yeah.
really. So, what have you been up to art wise?
I did a show at a gallery in Santa Fe, cool super cool gallery called Keep Contemporary Official.
Is it like
And
a regular gallery and you're kind of like the weirdo artist there, or is it kind of a cool gallery like
it's
Copro?
super cool. Yeah, it is super cool. It's like Cop Road where you walk in and you're like blown away from like floor to ceiling, like
Whoa.
famous. It's like I wish I could think of some of the names of the people that he has in there, but definitely dudes that you would know and
Oh,
recognize. And
cool.
yeah,
What's it
it's
called?
definitely Keep Contemporary.
Huh. Okay.
You know who else just did a show there last year was Adam McCarthy,
Adam McCarthy. Oh, yeah, cool.
who's had been in the
Yeah, I
Conjuring.
know. Yeah, I know Adam. Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah,
so cool. That's
yeah.
funny because he was when I first met him, he was just starting to get showing, just starting, and
Mhm.
so to hear he's like having shows and stuff
Killing.
now is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
He's a
no,
really good painter.
yeah, he's a super cool dude. He actually has a piece of mine. I did a
Oh,
custom
cool.
piece for him.
Yeah, he was
But
on the.
yeah, go
Oh, I'm
ahead.
sorry, he was on the podcast a long time ago. That's right. It's like, you know what? The podcast is so old that I forget who's been on. It's like
Dude, yeah,
6 years. Six,
6 years.
I think so. Yeah, or coming up on 6 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, insane.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry. What were you saying? What were you gonna say? Do you remember?
So yeah, I was just saying, yeah, that was kind of my last big show that I was working on. I've been kind of trying to, I'm pretty much well known for a lot of the skull stuff that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely been kind of branching off and integrating other things. I don't know if I've ever shown you any of my 2D work, but it's kind of a little more lighthearted and whimsical. Just my drawings, my characters and stuff
Mm.
are they're weird and dark, but they're definitely more whimsical than like all my skull work is pretty serious.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I've started making some pieces that are kind of merging some of my more lighthearted style, but still dark and disturbing. Um, but definitely really stoked that I'm able to. I feel like I'm established enough now to where I can start branching off
Right.
more stuff, and because that's really like I love doing the skulls, but there's nothing in me that says that I need to make more skulls, but when I come across a new idea with mixed media or whatever it is that I'm excited about and I stay up late and I you
Yeah.
know feeling when you get a new piece going that you're stoked on and like it's just that buzz in your stomach and you're just like fuck
Yeah.
yeah, the music and and like get into it, and that's where I really feel like the love and the passion for me is in the thrill of the hunt, the process,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've been feeling like safe enough to start doing some of my other style stuff. Um, a few masks. I've done a few masks that are real primitive.
Oh, cool.
I've got a couple here just because I wanted. Since I'm not in my studio, I grabbed a couple things. But this is a spider
Oh, that's
mask,
awesome.
and it's like got these little horsehair tufts
That's super
extra
cool.
high.
What'd you make it out of?
It was I did a plaster gauze base, and then just built it up with foam and epoxy clay
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of thermoplastic and horsehair.
That's so cool. I love it.
Thanks. And that's my little spider mask. And then there's another one that I did that's got some deer antler.
Oh, that's cool. That's creepy.
Well, so a little more like playful, but in a
Yeah.
kind of a disturbing,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely disturbing. And so yeah, the wearable art um really is definitely fascinates me. I'd like to get into more wearable stuff, but even just some of the wall hanging stuff is just working more with mixed media and not just skulls, but
Mm-hmm.
mannequin parts and other just little sculpts that I'm doing, little face sculpts, and the work that I just sent off 17 new pieces for a solo show at Arch Enemy
Oh,
Arts
cool.
in Philadelphia, and
Mm-hmm.
they are all the little single framed eye pieces, just glass eyes with the little leather skin and the lid and the little antique frames. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have any. Most of the ones I sent off for the show are freestanding pieces that I build inside old mantle clock casings,
Ah, cool.
antique decorative clock casings. I take the clock face out and I put in little glass eyes with an eyelid, so it's a freestanding little peeper.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, they're fun, and they're a good like entry level collector piece for collectors who can't maybe afford one of my bigger pieces, but
Hmm.
you know, can get into, from the 300 to $1,000 range in there somewhere,
Yeah, yeah. It's important to have that.
Yeah, like your smaller mini paintings and
Hmm.
stuff doing.
Yeah, that's cool. I really appreciate the fact that you're able to branch out like that. That's really one of the benefits you get from sticking around long enough and establishing yourself, is that you are able to experiment, and people will, early on for the first part of your career, you have to be careful not to veer too far out of your lane, because you're trying to establish yourself as, I hate to use the word, but as a brand, your art as a brand that represents you. And then when you get just a certain reputation, you're able to just kind of do whatever, and people are interested in it. So I'm glad to hear that, you're able to branch out, because obviously you're a super creative person. I can imagine just being kind of stuck in one lane would be difficult for you, because I know you're like just kind of like an all around creative guy. You're a musician. You're just a creativity machine, kind of.
Thanks. That coming from you, that's like God telling me I'm holy.
God is speaking through me.
No, I seriously, like, I that I feel like, I painted houses for, I think, for
Yep.
25 plus years, and it's only been over the past couple of years that I finally decided no more house painting. The universe wants me to pursue my art and my music, and whatever that takes, I'm gonna do it. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm in it to win it, and I do feel like the universe supports me in the decision to be creative, and I feel like it's also the time for me to branch out, for me to be firing
Right.
every direction, and no, I do this too, and I do that, and
Right.
I'm gonna get some of this, and just when you thought you knew what I was gonna do next, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do that. And like the music too, I really would love to see the music be as strong as you know an equal pillar in the structure of creativity that I have built.
Hmm.
Like the art's mine, and it's what I can do. I don't have to wait for five other dudes to show
Yeah.
to do it, like practice. But with my art, I can do it anytime. I just walk out to my studio and it's there, and so I can produce and pursue. I just I would love to see the music kind of, because I feel like I've also worked really hard on that for a really long time too, and the band is sounding really tight, and it's all original creative stuff. And
Yeah, it's great. The band's great.
thanks.
It's one of those things. As much as I enjoy the solitary aspect of art making and not having to rely on other people, it's also nice to be able to collaborate with other people. There's something to be said about, a band when it's working is amazing. It's so cool. It's such a great feeling, and I definitely miss that. And it's something I've wanted to get back to, but I'm just I haven't gotten there yet, because I was doing it for like 10 years, and I was finally like, I can't take the heartbreak anymore.
It is. Oh yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
you lose a member, and then it falls apart, and you start a new band. It's like this was happened a few times, and the last time it happened, I'm like, okay, I'm done. 10 years is long enough. I was like 30 or something at that point. I'm like, I'm done with this. And it was really difficult, but I still love music, and I love to play. And my kid's a drummer. It's like I got no excuses really, other than the fact that I don't have any time. I'm still,
it's yeah, it's a commitment, and
yeah,
but I can so relate. I've always said that it's like having, like, if you're in a band with five dudes, you have like five girlfriends
yeah.
basically. And same relationship and communication problems and all the struggles, only no one's getting laid, and you lose a member, like it's so like that, like losing a girlfriend, and then you like the new bass player comes in, and then the old bass player shows up at the show and sees the new bass player on stage, and you know, there's some like weird like cat energy or something going on there, and like yeah, dude, we just retrained a new bass player, and now we are working on a new drummer. So
Oh wow. You gotta have a good. That's like the other thing is you gotta have a good drummer, man.
yeah,
I mean, you gotta have all good players, but a good drummer is so important. But uh yeah, it really is like that. It's like a relationship, and it's like alliances form, and some people don't get along as well as others, and it's just like, oh man, I think about the times
mm-hmm.
those old days, and it's like, man, I don't miss I don't miss that part of it. But everybody should do it. Everybody should have a band. Everyone
I
should play in a band, even if it's just for fun, because it is so much fun. Playing music is so much fun.
agree.
You know.
Same. I feel like it's obvious that we do it for the it, anyone can play music by themselves, and that's one thing, and that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
But music, like you were saying, collaborating with others and that energetic exchange
Mm-hmm.
and the energetic catalytic uh explosion that is created, the new energy that's created from the two energies connecting, and then you go play live and you're connecting with
I know.
or whatever, or a bar full of people, and then you got that energetic exchange, and so it's this conversation, it's this energetic dance and this conversation, and I feel like that's really what we get off on.
Yeah.
Otherwise we would just play music by ourselves in a room with the
Right.
door never, so obviously we really like playing music with other people if we're going to be in a band or something. That's really what it is. It's that connection that we desire. I just don't think that we see it like that usually,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a for sure a cosmic experience. It's totally even no matter even if the band isn't like spiritual or whatever. It could be like a hardcore punk band, or I've been to shows that were like hardcore shows that were just spiritual, magical rituals
Yeah.
energetically. You know what I mean? Even though maybe the band didn't even doesn't think of it that way. Something happens there that's really amazing. I mean, it's a powerful thing. I remember I was in a band one time, and we were playing, just jamming at a party, and it was so weird because it was like everything went bad, everything turned bad, and people started kind of like getting aggressive, and there was like two people on the drums, and it was like super primal, very like primal drums playing, and it was just this everything kind of it was a bad it was bad, and like people started fighting and stuff, and it was like the whole energy just kind of changed, and it was weird. It was weird to watch and be a part of it and watch it while it's happening, and like you're almost not even you're just part of this thing that's happening. It was so weird, and you just felt like this kind of negative energy. It's and it people, I forgot who I got in a fight with, and not a fist fight, but like afterwards, and it was just like it's a power, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily it's just a neutral energy, really, and it's like how you channel it, I suppose, makes the difference, or what your intention is.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And yeah, that's it can be empowering or it can be power draining,
Yeah.
disempowering, or I think that, like you said, yeah, it's just like any situation. It really probably so many factors go into it, but I think music is such a strong uh, communicator of energies and such a strong conduit of it that it really can, like you said, with uh, can almost maybe controlling a room somehow and trying.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was kind of like it was like the mood turned dark with the crowd, and the since we were jamming, the jam like picked up on the negativity and kept it going, and made it worse. And it was weird. It was really weird. But man, like the feeling when you're in a band and everyone's totally tight and you got everything down and you're playing a song and everybody stops at the right spot and starts at the right spot. It's just like it's indescribable. It's like there's not even a word for that I can think of. There's just like a feeling you get that's like so amazing.
I agree.
Yeah, it's amazing. But so anyway, I hope things happen with it. Although, the thing about music now, it's like it's not the same world musically anymore as far as, I mean, not just stylistically, as far as like rock music goes. You know, rock music was the dominant music a long time when I was a kid, and now it's kind of like, I don't know, it's not the main thing anymore. But that's on that's totally on a side note. But what I was going to say is just to even make a living now as a musician with all the streaming services and stuff, it's like a whole different trip. You know,
Yeah, you're making your money off playing shows, maybe, or
and
merchandise.
merchandise and stuff.
And yeah, like you said, it's tough with rock and roll used to be king, and now, we can be playing at a show where there's like 20 people, and the crowd, and you go down the street and the bar next door is packed with DJ.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Nuts, it's like, dude, live original music, and it's good. I guess
It's
maybe.
it's weird too. As a creative person, I get the DJ thing. As much as I'm a musician, so I'm not really into it and I don't listen to it. But as a creative person, I think I can imagine triggering all that stuff and playing records in a certain way that kind of overlap, playing vinyl and all that the shit they do with their whole setup up there. I get it. I get it. I could see that would be kind of like it, almost like being an improvisational one man band kind of thing. But I don't know. Yeah. It's not my thing. But I understand it. I understand it.
And I'm not dissing DJs, by the way. So
Yeah, yeah, I know. But yeah, it's just, I mean, everything changes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It kind of makes live music with a band more novel and more um uh special, really, when it's not as available. You know what I mean?
I prefer live.
Oh yeah. I mean, come on.
I love going to shows, and
Yeah, it's nothing like hearing a real drum set. But
um, going to next month. I'm going to see High Lung. Do you know who they are?
all these weird bands I don't know. You're always sending
Uh,
me. You're always sending me all these cool bands I've never heard of.
seen them there. I think they're all European, all the members, but they all like have antlers and the crazy veil.
What are they
It's all
called?
painting and High Lung,
How do you?
like Heilung.
I have seen that. Now I know who you're talking about. I've seen their videos.
Super cool.
It's like pagany kind of.
Yeah, and it's mostly like in, I think, Germanic or German, and but it's all like folklore, and I have no idea what I'm saying at all, but I was like, I love the visual stimulation. It's talking about live experience, and it's
Right.
and stuff like that. I'd like to also get into, where you're doing interactive art and music experiences.
Yeah.
Like the idea of I don't know what that looks like for me if I were to produce something like that, but I have this idea that I would like to do, and I live in a pretty small little town, a little mountain town, and I want to do an art parade, kind of like a celebration of creativity, and get organized, as many people as I can, crazy marching bands and costumes, and just people that are into doing this little parade, and then maybe have like a little interactive like music festival afterwards, and with live art and stuff going on in the park. And I've got so I do have kind of a vision of this thing where art and music would merge, and
That would be
yeah, I don't
cool.
know. Yeah, I've got the idea. I just need once again, I need a crew.
Right. And you need a crew and time. That's the other thing. It's like there's so many ideas and so little time to do everything, you know? It's like people are always telling me stuff like, "Oh, you should do this. You should do this. You should do this," you know, and it's like I don't need ideas. Believe me, I got plenty of ideas. I got enough ideas for the rest of my life that I'll never be able to do. And it's like you have to kind of choose. You have to kind of pick what you're going to focus on.
Yeah,
You know?
totally. It's so true, and yeah, I feel like I've got more ideas probably than I have years left to live. So
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So okay. So you have some other shows too, right?
yeah, I've got the solo show this week is opening this week in Philadelphia at
That's it.
Arch Enemy.
Arch Enemy. That's cool. You hear that, Steve Clef? Do you hear that?
Really?
He goes there all the time. He's a great artist. He's been on the podcast before. I always talk to him and we talk about Arch Enemy all the time. So he'll probably
Well,
be
they're
there.
also
Are you going out for
my
it?
little yeah,
Oh, excellent. Cool.
yeah,
You got to meet
and
Steve Clef if you do.
I'll look for him. Yeah,
I'll tell him. I'll tell him to. He's hopefully he's listening to this now. This will be Wednesday when it airs.
I'll be the openings Friday, and also so my little show, my solo show is called Pretend Therapy, and the same night, the High Fructose Invitational group show is opening at Arch Enemy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of side solo show, and then the big High Fructose show is opening that night as well.
Oh,
And it's like
cool.
their first Friday art walk in downtown Philly too. So it's going to be popping, I would imagine for sure with all the High Fructose people in my show.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm gonna ask him something. We were just talking about this show. So funny. Uh, sorry. This is relevant to the conversation. I'm not blowing you off for a text. I'm trying to add to the conversation. See if he gets back to me. Anyway, so continue.
I'm pretty excited about that. That's never been to Philly, and I've been showing with Arch Enemy for like 10 years or so.
Oh, really?
And
So many good people show at Arch Enemy. I've never shown there.
dude, those guys are great. Lauren and Noah, they're both like just on it, super on it, and yeah, everything I've every experience I've had dealing with them has just been great, and they've been good to me, and
Cool.
they do well with my work, um, and then so yeah, then I've got a piece going into the Bewitching show at Stranger Factory, which I'm not sure the date that opens, but that's also this month. I think maybe next week it opens.
That's cool. Yeah. I
So
I I uh I didn't know there were. I haven't. Are they still doing shows regularly?
they moved. So what they did is they moved from like where you had your show. They moved from that location to just around the corner. They were there for a few years, but then they moved. They bought what I think is like an old like I don't know, it was like a Pony Express depot or some like 200-year-old building or something. They bought an old Adobe little ranchito in between Albuquerque and Santa Fe,
Oh, wow.
and it sounds super cool. I haven't been there, but they've got the Stranger Factory is there now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of the little town it's in, but
That's great. They
yeah,
must be doing well. They're able to get a place and move and stuff.
yeah. There, I saw them, Kathy and Brent. Or I invited them to my show in Santa Fe, and they came up.
Oh,
So
cool.
I got to hang with them there a little bit, and
Yeah, they're in Albuquerque before. That's right. Yeah.
it's pretty close to my zone. I'm southwest, way southwest Colorado. I'm like 15 minutes from the New Mexico border.
Oh,
So
wow.
in Albuquerque is kind of like
Oh,
my
you're like,
zone.
yeah, you're like neighbors.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
So yeah, so stoked to be showing with them again because it's been a while since I have. And then also this month I sent my piece for the toddler pillar show at Bainart Gallery in Australia with John Bainart, and
Hmm.
everyone gets a little plastic pillar toy. And yeah, so I've got three shows this month I'm taking
Cool.
part
That's great. So
in. Yeah.
are you like picking up the pace show wise? Are you trying to
Uh,
get in more shows nowadays, or
I haven't really put a lot of effort into it,
they
but
just
I
all
feel
kind of happened around the same time?
Galaxy's kind of always been like that for me. I sent my very first email to Last Rites all those years ago and got into a show, and that led to showing in a show that Gary was curating out there, Gary Pressman.
Hmm.
And then when I asked him about Copro, and he was like, get a hold of Chet. He's doing this conjoined show. And that's when I emailed you. And then from there, really everything has been galleries, asking me if I would be in their shows and stuff. I've never really done that work where you put it out there to galleries and trying to get into galleries. And I feel like maybe that's something maybe I should be doing that.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like you don't need to, and that's great, man. When they're coming to you.
Enough, between social media commissions and stuff like that, and then the galleries I do, I feel busy enough, but I could probably step it up. I feel like I'm definitely at a point where I want to push whatever it is to the next level, open some new doors, and not completely recreate myself, but I feel like I don't want to get stuck in cruise control, and I need,
Right.
just keep it fresh and interesting. And um yeah, so I feel like I got some big things happening. I just don't know what they're exactly they look like yet, but I've got all and the motivation and the drive. I've got tons of that shit all day long.
Yeah. Good. Good. Got to get the art parade happening.
Yeah, the art parade,
You
it's
have
all on the list.
the parade can go and end at the venue, wherever the big venue is. Be awesome. That's what we should call this episode. Chris Hawes on the art parade.
Totally.
Manifest it into reality.
But I feel like I've got enough uh, connections, people I know that are artists that would be into something like that. I have to figure out how it would be a profitable situation for people involved or whatever, and for myself. But
You might be able
um,
to hook up with the city and see if they would sponsor it or something, if they're cool.
we've got like a tourism board here that has lots of money and stuff like that, and so yeah, I feel like it's really a matter of me deciding that I'm going to do it and start lining up a group of people to help me make it happen.
That'd be so cool. Okay, everybody, you heard it here. You heard it here. The art parade is happening in Colorado. So, how long have you gone full time? How long ago was it when you went full time?
Completely no more house painting at all. It's been just about 2 years, getting close.
Okay. How was that? How did that happen? Like how was the transition? Because when I did it, I know that I wasn't prepared. I really did it in a stupid way. I think about it now, and it was really kind of dumb because I got laid off, and it was like I just jumped at the opportunity because I got laid off, but I didn't have savings or anything. So I just kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And here I am, 20 years later, all like out of breath.
Made it happen, and you did it because you had no plan B. You threw plan B out the fucking window, and you
Yeah.
may work whatever that takes. And that's, I think, that mentality. It's really all between the ears. We have everything else it takes. It's believing in ourselves, and I definitely had some encouragement from my wife.
Me too.
She, yeah,
Hmm. You gotta.
yeah, and that really helps. And for people that don't have that, you got I don't know how else to really, through friends and through other family members. I think that support, I feel really lucky that I'm in a family that, and my in-laws and my whole family, we're all artists and musicians, like all the brothers, all the sisters, the parents,
Mm-hmm.
every. So I feel like very supported, not only by the universe, but by my family and my friends.
That's so
And
cool.
I owe a lot to the fact that my wife has been pursuing her art career, and she's doing things on a super macho level right now with.
Yeah, her stuff's great. I remember you showing me that and being like blown away.
Yeah, she just did a show with the Renwick Gallery. That's the Smithsonian, one of the Smithsonian's galleries in Washington D.C. And she's doing some stuff to where now she's also, financially able to support the family, as like I was doing with all the house painting.
That's
And so
amazing, man. So
that's,
cool.
and I'm stoked for her. And it's rad to be, married to somebody who's also on the same creative path, who's decided that she had a graphic design business for like 15 years. And one day she was like, I'm done. And this is when I was still working. So I was like, yeah, close it up, and let's see what you can do. Cause I've always had faith in her.
Oh,
And
cool. So you guys supported each other.
totally. Yeah.
That's
So
great.
I'm grateful for that. Really, if it weren't for her, I don't know what exactly I'd be doing with it. But I think, I've tried in the past. I tried to quit house painting. I got pretty far away to the point where I was almost not taking any jobs, and I was doing art mostly full time. And then I'd get pulled back in. Somebody asked, and now I've officially like told everybody, like, don't fucking call me painting your house. And so
Yeah.
people don't. I there for a while. I was still getting calls, and it was hard to like.
It's hard to pass up money, sure money. For it's like it's hard to pass up sure money for possible money. Because that's the thing about shows and creating your own artwork. It's like, okay, I might, I'll spend 6 months or a year on this show, and maybe if I'm, maybe it'll sell, maybe it won't. It's such a crazy job. It's a
It's
crazy way to live, really.
like Ursula, my wife. She's like, we're addicted to that. Like, we like to live on the edge. We like to see how much of a chance can we take? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, I'm just gonna like quit my job, and I'm gonna work 6 months on this body work and hope it's like that. That's our kink somehow, is like, we love to make art, but we also must love to like feel. That's how we feel alive, is pushing ourselves to these uncomfortable places.
Fortune favors the bold, they say.
Yeah. So
Well, yeah, it's like you got to learn to love it. Is the way I see it, because it's like it's the way it is, it's like the way I see it is for me, and for every artist I know, pretty much, it's what you are willing to put up with in order to create your artwork, rather than I've heard other people say that, so maybe there is this element of masochism or something, but but
like you are like seeing what, how far you can push yourself, how much pain you can take. But yeah, but also, like you said, how much are you willing to,
it's like
I've
the cost. It's the cost of entry,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But yeah, I've definitely been there when I was younger, where I'm like, I'm pushing through. I'm gonna, I'm just like into the grind. But I'm not into the grind anymore. I'm too old to be into the grind. It's too hard. It takes too long to recover from the grind for me now. So I'm trying to like,
Easy when you're 35.
yeah, right. Yeah. So I guess that's the older you get, the more you're like, you try, or at least for me, I'm trying to be strategic, and you try to figure out how to do it and enjoy it, and still pay the bills and keep everything going. It's kind of crazy. It's just like I don't know. There's just a pile of things you have to do. You've got commissions and you owe things, and then you still have to bring in new money. And you're just like, yeah, I'm sure you know how it is, especially now that you're full time.
You're describing my life for sure.
and, 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 and the hardest thing that people don't understand is that in order to make, okay, we're doing it because we love art. That's why we're doing it. Because we're meant to do this. We love it. And in order to make, we get off on making really great work. I think artists, generally you want to bring it every time and just kill it. And that's the most satisfying thing. And in order to do that, you have to like relax and get into what you're doing. So it's such a difficult skill to learn, to have like this crushing weight of debt and bills and obligations. You have this crushing weight on you, but you have to relax and make the art great still. It's not like we're sitting here trust fund kids loaded with tons of money in the bank being like, okay, I'm going to relax and, make this, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I've found. Like you have to somehow just like let everything go and just focus on this thing without thinking about all the other shit going on that you have to worry about.
Yeah. And I think that's when I say I feel like the universe supports me.
Mm.
So it's my judgments and all those weights and this that pressure that's inside my head, like I was saying, in between the ears, it's all that shit and the weight of the world and being an adult. That's the stuff that, like you said, we got to accept. And in the background, knowing that the universe wants this for me, like I just got to get past myself.
Right.
If I can get my stressed self out of the way and like get that relaxed self, the one who's flowing and happy and grooving in the pocket, then all those other good things align. Money and I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that I've never made money a real priority. I've never have. I worked my ass off and I bought a lot of stuff, but it's just not been my priority.
Mm-hmm.
My is happiness, and I think, yeah, it's a balance. Definitely balancing out all those pressures and stresses. And should I be doing this? A lot of times I feel guilty, like, or I'm going to get like, someone's going to come bust me and find out that I'm not going to work. And then I'm instead, like the principal's going to show up or something.
Oh yeah. I was,
But
yeah, I was driving the other day in the car with my wife, and I was like, I remember when days where I would take off of work when I was working in the studios, or I was sick, or I'd take a day off for a doctor appointment or something and take the rest of the day off, and I'd be driving around in the daytime, and I'd feel like I'm getting away with something. I'm not supposed to be out here. I'm supposed to be back at work. Just like when you're a kid at school and you ditch or something. And it's like, hey, it's like that every day now. You know?
well, I think that says it all. We feel like little kids again when we're in our studio and we're doing what we love. I mean, you said it right there. It's like that feeling of being a little kid and making art and how rad that felt. We grow up and we get real jobs and we quit doing that.
Yeah.
And so many artists, I think, that start out, even ones that go as far to go to school and get their master's degrees and all this other stuff, still don't end up being artists because society and the thoughts in their head and the judgments are telling them that's not a real job. That's not, yeah, that's neat. I used to do art too when I was a kid, but I got a real job. I think I had to get past a lot of that. And a lot of that's just the stuff in my own head, me imagining what other people think about me.
Right. But it's cultural though. It's like you're getting it. The whole culture sees art and artists, I think, that way. I think it's like the whole world is kind of against you in that way. It's not general mainstream culture, I guess, is not like we got to support the artists. It's more like, what are you, crazy? That's a crazy thing to do. You should go get a real job, get a something dependable. But oh man, I I had a really good point. It's coming back. God, I lost it.
Oh no.
I do it every episode. I've gotten better at that. I used to do it every single episode. Now I do it like every third episode.
So I got to write stuff down immediately.
I
Like,
know. I know. I'll remember it though. Um, it was about the okay. I'm gonna trace my steps. It was about the having to let go and create work. Um, to let the flow happen while all this pressure's on you. It's gone. Oh well. Oh, I know. I got it. I got it. I got it. I was gonna say, uh, this is why I believe it's good to have. If you're an artist, especially, you have to have a certain amount of trust in the universe. You know, you have. I think it's good to have some kind of like, I guess, a spiritual practice or something more than the strict materialist view of life. I think because if you don't have like that faith in something greater than you that wants to, like you're saying, you have this feeling that the universe wants you to be an artist, so it's got your back. If you can manage to hang with the pressure, it wants you to succeed. And so without that, it would be very difficult because everything is kind of like pulling against you or pushing against you. You know what I mean? So I think it's good. It's especially good if you're an artist living this crazy art life, to have some kind of belief in something, some greater power or something that you could trust in. You know what I mean?
so kind of like what I was saying about having the support of the family or your
Right.
friends, knowing that you have that support of the universe, and whether, yeah, spirituality, whatever that means.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I call it a lot of times going to the spiritual gym. Like when I go out, when I meditate, when I go out and talk to the stars at night and try to manifest and all my little affirmations and stuff, those are my emotional and mental push-ups and crunches. You know, I will get emotionally and mentally out of shape if I don't practice those things, because I am prone to depression and emotional, heaviness. And so, yeah, I feel like I don't even know what I would call my spirituality, like there's no name for it. I just do what feels right for me, and
Yeah.
it's what keeps me going, man. It's definitely like, because yeah, and once I think a minute ago when you were trying to think of what you were wanting to say, and you were talking about accepting and being able to relax, to let things flow, as soon as you quit trying to think about it and you relaxed and you let things flow,
Yeah.
you like this perfect
Yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah. Once I gave up, it just came right back to me.
I feel like with me, I used to have a hard time going to the dentist, and I still have a hard time flying. All these things that I'm really uncomfortable with. Uh, I have learned that it helps me to see those things as gifts and services. The dentist is there to help me. He's not, I'm not getting tortured or no, he's helping me and I'm paying him,
Right.
getting in a plane and catching a flight to Philly. That's a service someone's providing me. I'm paying for it. And if I can see that as a gift and a service to myself, it helps me relax and accept the situation. And I think that I don't know how that necessarily ties into, I guess, the stress of life and being alive and all that, when you accept and just go with the flow. And it's not an easy thing to do sometimes, but
Yeah, it's just that's like a change in perception, really. It's just changing your perception to make it work for you better. Um, and I think, you don't have to have a specific spiritual practice. I really don't believe like the answer is with magic or, you know, uh, uh, Christianity or Buddhism or whatever. I really don't think that may be the answer for you if it suits you. But I think the answer is just to, like, how you described it, is to have just something that feels meaningful to you. It doesn't have to have a label on it. It's like the only reason there's labels on these different religions and spiritual practices is so that we can talk about it and discuss it and learn. And, it's all approximations anyway to the real thing, especially when you get into like real cosmic spiritual stuff that happens when you have something crazy happen, or you have that feeling. It's not like you can really describe it adequately with words anyway. So these are just like, just ways of dealing with it and talking about it and stuff. But it's like any, I would encourage anybody who's like maybe like super atheistic or super materialist to, it sounds crazy, but like how you said, talking to the stars and stuff like that, fucking talk to inanimate objects. That's a good place to start. It's like, that's like, I know it's magical thinking, but magical thinking isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're doing it correctly. I believe. I think that just, it's like, be childlike in that way and open to the possibility that talking to your printer is going to make it load the paper in correctly that time.
No, I totally agree. I truly believe. I mean, I'm definitely a weirdo. Like if I'm throwing away like something I've had a long time, but whether it's a pair of jeans or something, I thank it for its service, and I have the money before I put it in the dumpster, because I'm so attached to the idea that everything is energetically charged and has a purpose and deserves a certain amount of respect, whether it's a rock on the ground or a dog or your favorite shirt. I feel like the energy you put into that is relevant to the energy that's going to be all around you. And and maybe I'm at the point to where I'm like, yeah, a little bit neurotic about it,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, I will. Yeah,
I
find me talking all kinds of inanimate shit.
Yeah, it's just I just it's like once I got I don't know, really deep into meditation and stuff. I don't know, I started sort of talk. I think people do it too. I think people already do it. I think most people probably do it, but they don't want to admit it. I think people like talk to their cars when it's not starting and stuff like that. I think people do it a lot. It's just like not an accepted thing, and it's like it's superstition. It's just dumb, but there's something to it. I think there's something to it. Like you said, everything's energetically charged. Everything is alive in a way, and you know, I, I don't know. It's kind of crazy getting off on this, but I guess maybe the best way would be to like remember how you were when you were a kid. When you were a kid, you kind of would do things like that. Like, you know, uh, I don't know. Like if there was like this rock. My dog brought this rock in the other day, or it showed up on my floor, and I'm like, weird. Okay, it must have been Mr. Bubbles. This is my daughter-in-law's pug. Because he eats weird stuff and he carries stuff in his mouth. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep this as a little power rock for some reason. And whether it's just a rock or not, I'm going to sort of like give it my own meaning as like a little special thing, and so, and this is something like you would do as a kid.
My daughters totally do it. My youngest daughter, she's still at that point where she can pick anything up and give it a name and say how much she loves it. And no, throw that away. That's my piece of cardboard,
And that, yeah, and that's amazing. That's like, that's cool. It's good to hang on to that. You know, I think it's I don't know. I prefer to live in a world like that than a world where everything is dead. Like the idea that everything's just dead,
yeah.
which is kind of the materialist point of view. I like to think that everything's alive, and that yeah. Anyway, sorry. It's all good, but yeah. So any other shows? That's it. You got your three big shows, and you've got your art parade, and you got your band.
That's everything in the current horizon. Um, I'm not sure what like I said, what it's gonna look like, but I definitely feel like I'm on the cusp of, I don't know, another shift with the visual, uh just the I don't even know how to really put it into words, because my art's always going to be my art. I always want to, not, I can't escape that. People will always be able to tell what my
Yeah, that's a good thing.
work is. But what I want, really, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I want I want to make something that impresses myself. I want to create pieces that I question whether I made them or not. And I don't know what that really
Hmm.
looks yet, but I feel like I need to, it's going to take some more meditation work, some more like dropping in. Um, and once again, just time, have taken the time to even drop in and allow the creative genius to flow through the conduit into your life, I think takes a certain amount of space and time.
Yeah.
And that's hard if you're taking kids to school and painting people's houses. And so I feel like, without getting too woo woo about it, I feel like there's probably going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a psychedelic experience or what, but I feel like, I don't know, there's a shift that needs to happen for me. I feel like and I don't want to sound like vain or materialistic or anyway, but I feel like there's a greatness that I crave that I'm not allowing myself to even come near.
Hmm.
Like,
I
does
feel
that make
you. Oh yeah.
like, there's something I can't quite taste it, but I know I want it. I know I want it. And I know I
Totally.
want it. Just
Oh, I feel the same way. I totally
cool.
feel the same way.
Felt like there for a minute. I was like, I don't know.
What an asshole, man! This guy's so egotistical.
I want to be great, and I
Yeah.
want, because I want to be the most, um, I want to make the universe proud. I want to be the most full potentialized version of myself that the universe has given me the opportunity to be. I don't
Yeah.
want to let it, I don't want to let the universe down. And I feel like that is going to look bigger and different than what I've done so far.
Well, yeah, like I totally relate to that. I feel the same way. Like I feel like I haven't even, I've become pretty successful for someone who paints monsters and shit, but I really feel like I haven't done my greatest stuff yet. I feel like I haven't even been in a position to be able to do my greatest stuff yet. It's always been under pressure and time constraints. But I will say, one thing I wanted to bring up is I think it's pretty it's kind of amazing that you were able to succeed with sculpture. It's hard. It's hard. I don't know if you know my story. It's like I started with sculpture. I was doing these crazy elaborate molds and casting and all this stuff. But still, it's harder to sell sculpture, at least that was my impression because it takes up more space than a painting. Just on that level, it's like, sculptures you have to find sculptor collectors.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's
so the fact that you were able to succeed as a sculptor says a lot about you and your work. I think it's kind of amazing because if it's like if you can make it in sculpture, you can kind of make it in anything. I think it's a lot harder than 2D artwork.
thanks. Uh, yeah, I don't know that I did anything to make that happen. I don't know how responsible I am for that. I guess it was blind faith, or maybe,
Good work. That's part of it.
I definitely have devoted myself to my craft or my art, and hopefully that shows. Um, but I feel like a lot of it with getting the ball rolling and with my art and with my music both was this lack of awareness that I might fail. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even consider that it may not work. You know, I'm gonna get on stage and I'm gonna sing and everyone's gonna love it. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna make this art and I'm gonna send it to these galleries and then the crowd's gonna go wild, you know. And I look back and I feel like, oh wow, like how naive was I?
Yeah, but anybody that you have to kind of have that attitude. I had the same attitude too when I was starting. It's like, oh yeah, it's cool. Other people are gonna love it too, even though it was just so ridiculous. But
You
yeah,
were right.
yeah,
I do.
yeah. Ultimately, it's like we were both right. It sounds crazy looking back on it, but you have to kind of have that self belief, you know.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely key, you know, and it may sound cheesy, it may sound generic, uh, but it's the truth. I saw this little short video clip the other day of Anthony Hopkins, and he's talking about motivation and he's talking about believing in yourself. You got to believe in yourself no matter what people are saying or doing. You got to believe in yourself. And he gets kind of intense and almost like scaring you into believing yourself. And and really that I think loving, as cheesy as it sounds too, loving yourself is part of believing in yourself, and having that spiritual practice or a healthy emotional and mental state of health, you know, is important, you know, because it's also easy to just be the depressed artist, you know.
Yeah.
And I did that part too, and I still do at times, and especially with dark art, you know, and with music, the blues and all that, you know, you got to go through those. You got to, you know, you can't get up if you've never been down.
Hmm.
And but you can't stay there.
Yeah.
You stay down or you're eventually just gonna, you know, be
Well,
swept.
yeah, and the blues is a great example of taking the negative and turning it into a positive. And I think dark art is too. I mean, the blues and dark art are definitely
Right.
related, you know? It's like it's the same idea where you're taking negativity and turning it into something amazing, turning it into art.
Yeah.
Transmutation or transfiguration or alchemical something or other. But uh it's two in one episode. I had another really good point. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to just take your word for it. I'm not going to stress about it and it's going to come right back to me. The problem is you have pressure because you're recording.
Yeah.
That automatically puts the pressure on. What was
Hard
it?
you
What was that?
back and edit all
Yeah,
this
but
or let it flow at
I
once.
can cut stuff out, but I prefer not to. It's part of the whole podcast is like it is what it is. I think people like the screw ups unless
Yeah.
someone wants something taken out. Um, uh, okay, I forgot. Never mind. It was a good point too, but yeah. So I don't know. I never thought about that though. I never really thought about the blues and dark art being so connected in that way.
Yeah, me neither. That's a pretty cool connection. That it's
Yeah,
the total like blues, or blues is the, you know, the dark art. I mean, there's dark music obviously and emo and all that stuff, but I think blues
but
is
the
the
blues is the foundation for that.
all that.
And it's all about suffering, turning suffering into taking it and expressing it, turning it into art instead of letting it destroy you. You know,
Yeah,
becoming depressed about it.
I
Oh, it was
agree.
something when you said you. It was something about when you said being a depressed artist. Okay, I'm just forget about it. I'm leaving all this shit in too. I don't give a shit. I don't have time to edit this thing. I only edit if I have to. Barely, I'm barely able to do this podcast, to be honest. Every week. Um,
Impressive, man. 6 years on top of it.
it's crazy. Yeah, I haven't missed that many days. I mean, I've missed a few episodes here and there, but pretty consistently. Crazy. I just think this podcast is so cool. I think the interviews are so the people are so interesting. The artists are so interesting to me.
Too.
What?
Gotta be fun. I'm sure it's fun for you to like just
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's the only social interaction I have pretty much other than my immediate family. But I get to talk to all these artists, but that's I look at there's podcasts where people are making like $100,000 a month on their Patreons and just crazy people making millions. And it's like the guests are so I am so not interested in the people who are on these podcasts, like Instagram influencers and people like other podcasters that just do. I just think it's so I can't believe that people are interested in these boring ass people when artists all the artists I have on the show are so interesting. They really have a different kind of perspective about things, and I don't know. I guess it's just maybe that's how we are. But man, I don't know. You see these mainstream podcasts, and it's like, man, I can't listen to this. This is
well, anything mainstream. I don't think
yeah,
you and I are cut out for mainstream.
true. True. I don't know. Good stuff gets in the mainstream sometimes, but generally I just have no interest in like I don't know, these there's like all these personalities that are like YouTube personalities, YouTubers and they're just like these dumbasses. They're just like these regular dummies. You know what I mean? They're not like interesting. They don't have cool ideas. Or they don't think differently. They're just like these dumbasses. The people just know them because they've grown up watching them, and so they like them and listen to their podcasts. It's just the weirdest thing to me. Just I don't know. They're to each their own. To each their own. Everybody's got their own tastes. Just blows my mind. They're the ones making all the money. That was my dog. That wasn't me making that noise. My dog came in here.
But I got my dog in here. Frida, come here. Frida, come. I'm bringing get her up here. Come here. Frida, come. Up. There she is.
All right. Oh, what a beauty. Is that an Australian Shepherd?
Yeah.
Okay. Dog sharing time. Come here. Valentine, up. Come here. Up. Come here. Up here. Come here.
My dog's like trying to get on the bed.
Come here. Come here. There we go.
Oh, dude.
There she is. What a baby.
Female or male?
Female.
She's gorgeous.
So cute. Yeah, she's so sweet.
What's her name?
Valentine.
Valentine. Oh.
She is the nicest dog. She is so sweet, and she's an evil pit bull.
Oh, you're stoked.
This dog loves me, and I love her. Okay, down now. Anyway, we've devolved into dog sharing.
Oh, it's good stuff.
You got any where can people find your music?
Spotify and I think it's on iTunes, Apple Music,
okay,
platforms. Ragwater, one word.
It's a great name.
Ragwater, and we've got one full album, and then we've got some singles out because we're working on a newer album.
Cool. Where do you record at?
We do a lot of home recording, but we take everything over. We record all the main vocals and the drums and bass at a studio in Durango called Scooter's Place, and then we do a lot of the backing vocal tracks and extra guitar stuff. We record at home and take
Mm-hmm.
it over to his computer and do all the mixing and editing over there.
It's amazing now with these computer modeled amps where you can kind of get any sound from I don't know if you're probably more traditional amp guy, but there's like these digital amps that you can model that are modeled on all these famous guitar sounds, and they sound exactly like them.
Yeah, it's
So amazing. Can you imagine being like a kid interested in music right now?
Dude. Well,
Just
and that's people are just taking, just like anything with music and sports and everything, people are taking it to these new levels, and part of that's due to the technology that's
yeah.
available. So
And
yeah,
I used to record on a 4-track cassette, and you had to bounce tracks down to get, you'd use up 3 tracks and you'd bounce all 3 and mix them to the 4th track, so you had 3 more open tracks, and you keep adding and bouncing down, and it's just like now you have as many tracks, totally professional sounding, just in your computer. It's so amazing. People don't realize how good they got it in that way.
I agree.
They have it much worse in other ways, though. But anyway, well, that was a great talk.
Yeah, man.
I really
That was good.
appreciate you coming on.
I could talk to you anytime. Just it's good to catch up with you
I
and
know. Well, yeah,
talk.
I use this as also as an opportunity to catch up with all my friends too. But I mean, this living in this capitalist nightmare where everything has to make money. So it's just like I'm always everything I do has to somehow equal money because otherwise I won't survive. So I was like, okay, I've got these. I'll have chats with my friends and people I respect and artists I love, and you know, monetize it so I can pay my bills.
Perfect.
So I guess it's resourceful, but anyway, I always, yeah, you always have an open invitation to come on the show. I wanted to get you on to promote your show, which is it's dropped today. If you're listening on the day that it's dropped, it's Wednesday. Your show opens
Friday.
Friday at Arch Enemy Arts.
Yep. Pretend Therapy is the name of the show, and yeah, I'm excited.
And the High Fructose show is the same night.
Yeah, High Fructose show is tons of cooksies in that show.
Whoa.
I don't know if he's going to be there or not, but it'd be good to see him, and just all the big heavy hitters. I feel a little intimidated
Here,
being in the, but
you're one of them now, man. Come on. You're one of the heavy hitters.
sweet.
Well, cool, man. Well, good luck with everything. Of course,
Thanks.
stay in touch as always. We
Yeah,
text. Keep sending me your weird bands.
yeah, totally will. I'll send you some high long YouTube videos or something.
Cool.
Also, in April, I'm going to see the Pussifer Perfect Circle Primus show. That's Maynard's 60th birthday.
Oh, really? You're going to that? Where is that?
There's like 6 different locations. I think Denver is the one I'm going to.
Okay, that makes sense because I keep hearing different people, friends of mine, are saying they're going, but they're all in different areas. I'm like, I thought it was just one thing, but I guess
Yeah,
it's. Well, that's
different.
cool. That'll be fun. Well, have fun there. Anyway, the last thing we have to do before you go is just say goodbye to the audience.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for letting us chat.
Thank you for putting up with our bullshit.
Yeah.
Bye.